lovely flute students, I am the Techie Flutist and today I'm going to give you a collection of breathing activities to help you develop your breath control. This is part 6B in our breathing series. If you missed out on any of the others, there are links down in the description below, and I highly recommend you catch yourself up because they look at how to breathe, and today is how to practice for intermediate players. If you're a beginner, then I highly recommend you watch part 6A. And now, on to today's video. Step 1 to your breathing practice is to first figure out what you want to achieve. Now, in our last video, we looked at our ultimate breathing goals for every flautist, but as a quick recap, ultimate breathing goal number 1 is to take a deep, fast, easy, and quiet breath. Ultimate breathing goal number 2 is to be able to use your air efficiently. And ultimate breathing goal number 3 is to breathe on autopilot. Step number 2 in your breathing practice is to become a detective and ask yourself a couple of questions. So, question number 1, how long can I hold a musical phrase for in one breath, and how long do I need to be able to do that? Question 2, how much time do I need to give myself to be able to get a big deep breath in order to get all the way through a phrase in my music? Or, what is the shortest space the music gives me to breathe? Question 3. How much noise is my breath making, and how much noise should it ideally make? Question 4. On a scale of 1 to 10, how hard do I find it to take a deep, quick, and quiet breath? 1 being extremely easy and 10 being ridiculously challenging. Question 5. How often do I find myself needing to breathe in a piece of music? And how often would the music actually like me to breathe? Because believe it or not, there can actually be a big difference between the two. And question 6. Do I need to constantly remind myself about taking a proper big deep breath? Or do I do it without thinking? Basically, you want to look for answers that you aren't satisfied with and that you would like to improve, and then pick an exercise to work on that specific area. Step 3 in your breathing practice is to choose your exercise. Step 4 is to set a target or mini goal that you're working towards. And finally, step 5 is, of course, practice and track your progress. We now come to a brief interlude where I will take a moment to introduce you to this fabulous resource book for students who are about grade 4 AMEB and upwards. It is called Practical Routines for Flute and it is by Flute Worthy. It is a brilliant resource book. It's a little more accessible than the Trevor Y practice books, which is why I recommend it to most of my students. And it includes not only obviously a breathing section, but it's got stuff on tone development, tone color, articulation, vibrato. It's even got a short section on extended techniques. And one thing that I absolutely love about this book is it includes heaps and heaps of examples from actual flute repertoire. So you can learn a technique in an exercise and then straight away you can see how to apply it. And it's great for students who get stuck on the "but why do I have to do this?" question. So, I'm about to take you through 8 different flute breathing exercises. I do not expect you to use all 8 of them every single time you practice. However, it would be beneficial for you to pick out 1 or 2 that you think you would enjoy, focus on them for a month, track your progress, and then maybe after that come back and choose some different ones. That way it'll just mix it up a bit and you won't get bored. Practice should never be boring. So, the first one, I'm actually going to use everything that I'm using is from that book that I just told you about. But you can apply these principles to really any piece of music. Find something that's like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star or a tiny bit more advanced, but you don't want it to be about the notes or the rhythm. You want it to be about the breathing. So, exercise number 1 is gradually reducing the number of breaths you take. So, you might grab a pencil I don't need to because it's all in here, and you might go to begin with, I'm just going to breathe every bar and play it slowly, but breathe at the end of every bar. And you're going to, when you breathe, you're going to fill up, take a big Hawaii breath so you can get to the next breath mark. As you practice that, you'll find that gets easier, and then you go, okay, well, I'm going to change it. I'm going to breathe every 2 bars, and then swap it up every 3 bars. Mix it up every 4 bars, and just keep going and going until you can get through, I don't know, maybe 4 to 8 bars in one breath. It depends how fast you want to do it. This is me breathing every bar. And I'm trying to over-exaggerate my breaths so you can hear them, but that's actually really hard because it's the opposite of what I've practiced doing. Then you might change to every 2 bars. So and then so on and so forth. So exercise 2 is probably not my favorite, but it's in here, so I'm going to put it out there. You might really enjoy it. The idea behind this exercise is you play a slow musical phrase and then you add a pause or fermata over the last note, and you hold it for as long as physically possible. Then you take a big breath and you do the same thing with the next phrase. So it'll sound something like this. And it goes on. I'm just doing like the first line of everything. Exercise number 3 is reduce tempo to extend your breath. So pick, say, a 4-bar phrase that you can play at a reasonable tempo that allows you to get through it in one breath. Then you're going to slow it down, and your challenge is to see exactly how fast you can slow it down to. Now, for this exercise, you're going to want to work with a metronome, just because otherwise you're going to find it really hard to track your progress. And if you're not tracking your progress, it can actually get really discouraging because you don't realize that you're actually improving. So you might start off with your metronome on, say, 120, and you're going to play through the musical phrase in one breath. And then you breathe and you play the next one. Then you might drop it by 10. So you might try it at 110, then drop it by 10, and then just keep dropping it by 10 and see how far you can get. So this is the same musical phrase now at half of the original speed. So it is at 60. And I ran out of breath just before the last note, but that's okay, that's the point of the exercise. So then I'd bump it up a bit, practice it again, and then lower it again. Moving along, we get exercise number 4. This is actually very similar to the breathing exercise from the Flute with a Twist book that we looked at in our last video. It's just a more advanced version, so it uses a wider span of the notes. And what it is it gradually expands the musical phrase. So again, you want to set your metronome on about 60 just to give you something constant so you don't speed up and cheat. And then you just want to play through it and see how far you get. So our first phrase is literally one note. And then I'm going to jump to one in the middle of the page. We get... And that's terrible because I ran out of breath halfway through. So I would jump back to a phrase with less notes and progressively build up. I'd then make a little marker on the page of how far I got on that day or in my practice journal, and progressively over time you'd get further and further. Exercise number 5 is quick breaths. Now sometimes when you're playing a piece of music you don't have time to take a full massive Hawaii breath, so instead you steal little sneaky breaths along the way until you've filled up. So to practice that, there are a few different ways you can do it. You can just use one note if you want to, and you can go note, breathe, note, breathe, note, breathe, and then try and hold the note for as long as you can, but start with an empty tank. So that's like option 1. You could use a scale, an easy scale such as F major, and breathe after every note and then try and hold the top note for as long as you can. Maybe set a metronome for this one. Start off at 100, but aim to get it up to about 200, and it'll sound something like this. So even though I started with my lungs empty, by the time I got to the top I'd had 7 quick breaths and I had an abundance of air to use for the long note. You can then apply it to studies that you're working on, because they very rarely give you time for a decent big breath, so that is when you would practice your quick snatch breaths. Exercise 6 isn't actually from a book. I honestly have no idea where I picked it up from, but I think it's quite a commonly used one. What you're going to do is you're going to set your metronome to crotchet equals 60. You're going to breathe in for 4 counts, then you're going to hold a note on your flute for 4 counts, and then you're going to breathe out. Then you're going to repeat the process, however this time you're going to hold it for 5 counts, and then 6 counts, and then 7 counts, and you just keep increasing and increasing it until you hit about, 20 counts. So just for funsies, let's see how far I can go. So my crotchet equals 60. I'm going to breathe in for 4, so... I think I lost count partway through, but I think I got about 19-ish. So I would then do that again, breathe in for 4, but try and push it even further. Exercise number 7 is rather odd, but really effective. Grab a piece of paper, put it on the wall. Your aim is to hold it on the wall using only your breath and time how long you can do that for. Good luck, this one is a challenge. If you find you can't hold a piece of paper on the wall at all, start off with a smaller piece of paper and progressively build it up until you're up to about an A4 sheet. It's actually really hard for me to find a wall in here. Exercise 8, our lucky last exercise, I also included in the last video, part 6A, but I'm going to include it here as well because it just, no matter what playing level you're at, it's really, really good. This you can actually practice away from your instrument, which is great. You can do it side of stage when you're really nervous. You can do it after a stressful day. It'll help to really calm you down. I like to do it just after I've gone to bed and I'm sort of lying in bed. Then I do my little breathing exercise and fall asleep because I'm all nice and calm. Basically, anytime you're nervous and you need to calm down, you can do this. So What happens as a flute player is sometimes we find ourselves needing to breathe, not because we've run out of air in our lungs, but because the air in our lungs is stale and our body is wanting fresh oxygen. So we need to practice holding our breath. What you're going to do is breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, and then breathe out. Then you're going to breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 5 counts, and breathe out. Breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 6 counts, and breathe out, and so on and so forth. Aim to get up to about 20 seconds. Yes, it's a lot, but over a long period of time, I believe it is achievable. I hope you find these exercises useful. As with any form of physical exercise, such as jogging or push-ups or sit-ups, the more frequently you can do it, the more you will reap the benefits. If you do it once a month, then you're really not going to see any progress, and you'll probably just end up frustrating yourself because you'll be like, I'm not improving, and that's just because you're not doing it regularly. Now, I have also made a collection of resources to help you track and manage your practice. They are up online at thetechieflutist.com under the resources page. I've also included a link down in the description below. If you have any comments or questions or some other really cool breathing exercises, then please share them with us down in the comments section so that we can all learn from each other, because I'm a huge fan of lifelong learning. Like, I'm still learning. I would love to learn how to circular breathe. That's like my next big challenge. Pop back in next Monday for breathing exercises for advanced flautists. And don't forget to subscribe and switch on those notifications, because videos do go up once a week and you don't want to miss out. So until next time, happy practicing!